Transport policies and the role of civil society. Welcome. The first picture, can you show it?
I can't make it full screen. I hope that's fine. But here we go.
Yes. I can't see this. I will tell my text and you can show the papers. Women involved in the mobility sector, especially women, are providing ideas, creating and organizing the mobility transition. I showed you some names. You can read them in the internet and you can see what they are doing. Slide 3. Women in Mobility Network for strengthening the awareness of women in the mobility sector, leadership positions and project management. In society, women are not represented enough when it comes to the mobility sector. I can see it now in the Bundestag, and that's why we founded the initiative FRAUEN machen MOBIL. Women are doing mobility. 2 years ago, with members of the Green Party, Katja told us. We want less traffic and more mobility instead, more safety and more climate justice. We want mobility that is enjoyable. And we want to politically influence the infrastructure planning in Germany. For too long, transport policy and urban planning pursued the goal of car-friendly cities. You know them. This resulted in a lack of mobility while the traffic is growing, which is a structural problem, I think. A feminist approach in mobility policy differs from the narrow view in planning, building, and use that most people have. It doesn't exclusively focus on technical solutions. And that's what I'm beginning to learn another time here in the Bundestag. Men are focused on technical solutions. You can read it after the coalition agreement was voted on. And these technical solutions in climate protection, for example, changing the engine of a car to an electric one. The feminist approach focuses on accessibility, safety, and social justice. While doing so, it considers the needs of everyone, especially the most vulnerable in our society: children, the youth, the elderly, and people with handicaps. Here, the redistribution of public spaces in favor of a climate and socially acceptable urban planning combined with mobility plays a significant role. Slide 5.
4 or 5?
Now 5.
Okay.
Keystones are processes of transformation towards new forms of infrastructure, resilience infrastructure, and sustainability strategies through a moderate use of mobility. Sufficiency. How does an inclusive and fair mobility system look like from the point of view of the Green Party? It means reorganization streets in favor of active mobility, allowing conversion processes, converting streets into playgrounds, for example, and meeting places, parking areas, also parking areas. Principle of a short distance is very important. Strengthening public transportation, reducing cars and trucks through transferring more traffic on rails and waterways. Fewer, quieter, smaller, cars have to be that. Avoiding, reducing, and relocating, these are 3 principles We call it in Germany the 3 V's: vermeiden, verringern, verlagern. And transportation, traveling the last mile with, for example, cargo bikes. Slide 6. All resources are staying inside the cycle. For example, construction materials built by recycling broken equipment and vehicles. We need to intervene in existing public place or public places in favor of more greenery, active mobility, public transportation, and social spaces. Doing this, modern technology has to be used, that's true, to achieve the most effective impact for climate neutral municipalities. Slide 7.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Policymakers are playing an important role in this transition. We in Germany are living in a federal system where the German Bundestag and the 16 parliaments of the federal states represent the legislative power. Municipalities and federal states can only do as much as the regulatory framework allows when it comes to creating climate-friendly and livable cities through, for example, spatial planning. I now want to underline the necessary changes in the legal framework with the example of the German road traffic regulations. This regulation includes the measure of the moving traffic. It makes every speed limit and reorganization of roads impossible. Second example, according to the German building law, every building has to have parking spaces depending on the use of the building. By this, we prohibit the reorganization of parking spaces and support parking spots that take massive amounts of space. And slide 8. What are the policy instruments that can be used and that have been successful? Legislative changes, funding of public transportation, especially climate-friendly buses. States, countries in the EU are staying for that. Model projects, for example, 30 kilometers by hours zones, Vision Zero, bike paths, and the roadside. How can we support civil society organizations with participation, a good level of cooperation between political parties, political groups, and especially civil society organizations, including their expertise in political decision-making processes or citizen participation. And second, empowering global partnerships in the field of climate-friendly mobility. And if you show the last paper, I'm at the end, and thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Susanne.